I've got another tool to sharpen, and that is the parting tools, okay? So I have a D-way parting tool. This one has, basically it's cut at an 8-degree or 80-inch radius, just like on your sharpening wheel. The bottom of the D-way tool is wider than the other, okay, so that it, as you cut here, you're not rubbing up on the top. So that's how that tool is designed. It's very thin. We'll set that over here for a minute. This is an old school beading and parting tool. It's a little bit bigger. It's probably like a 1/4 inch or 3/16. And it's sharpened on both sides, kind of like that. And this is not one that, it's not a diamond one that's bigger here. So this doesn't have the relief. You will get some abrasion, some heat friction there. Here's the diamond one that a lot of people grew up with. It's the same as that beading and parting tool, but this is a thinner version. But the way this is it's in the center of this right here is a little bit wider metal. So at the tip, it's cutting more than at the tip, it's cutting more than over here on the ends because there's more metal right there. And so that relieves it, okay? And I don't know what you call this one. This used to be shaped just like the D-way one where this was at the radius, but I actually kind of did a back bevel sharpening on this, and it made sharpening it just so easy that, and I like this. This is a cheap HSS, doesn't even have a brand. HSS I got off of Amazon, and this is actually one of my favorite parting tools. It's pretty thin, and it just is really easy, and it's a nice parting tool. So how do I sharpen these parting tools? Well, you can do them a lot of ways. You could put them in here. Looks like that's what I've done with this one. So a lot of what I do with sharpening is I don't want to move jigs. Okay, so I'm looking at changing a lot of things to sharpen off the exact same platform angle as my 40/40 grind if I can, and make it work, because I don't want to adjust the platform. Same here, I don't want to have to move this back and forth either. So what I have is I can put this parting tool in here, turn it on, come down, barely touch that, and it's sharp. Okay, just barely touch it and it's sharp, ready to go back. Okay, and this is what I'm going to rub the bevel on. So the wood's going to be turning, and I'm going to rub the bevel on that part. Okay, so that's how I sharpen that one. Put it right in there. I don't have to move anything, and it's sharp. Okay, how do I do the D-way one? Let's see if the D-way one, now this won't work. That's not going to work. That's not how I do that one. And that's not how I do that one. So here I've got to move something. Probably what I would do with this one is I would move this out, and you could set up a jig to get this at the right angle, and I probably should see what this angle is and then just sharpen it at that. So it looks like that's about what I want right there. And we'll see what this is. But I will just turn that on, come up here at the platform, and it's sharp. It's going to be sharp. That's how I'm going to do that one. I will be honest, sometimes I just put my finger up here and just use my finger as a brace and just eyeball it to get that sharp. Other times I simply take a sanding or a diamond thing and just kind of sharpen it that way without even going to the grinding wheel. So that works a little bit too. I'm gonna see what angle this is. This is 16. So probably if I wanted to do this and make it quick, I could write 16 on here, 16 degrees for the platform. I could come over here, use this, move this platform to 16, bring it over, boom. But do you need to do that, or can you just move it until you eyeball it and see that it's there? And that's pretty much what I do, is just eyeball it. How about this beading and parting tool? Well, it looks like you could move this out, right? You could move this out till it matches. And then you could put it there, sharpen, sharpen, turn it over, sharpen, okay? And that would be one way to do it, but you gotta move this. So then you got your stick though to get you right back to where you need to be for your bowl gouge. The other way would be to come up here with a platform, and to get this platform just at the right angle, whatever that would be. Gonna bring this in, something like that, okay? Yeah, so got that angle there like that. What would that be? Looks like it's at 39.2. So you see how these are all different. Could I make that 40? If I made that at 35, would it be much different? That's what I'm curious. So if I come in here and make this 35, how different would it be? It's not going to be that different. So this is where I might actually, as I turn more, I might change this to the 35 degrees, which would be basically a 40-40. This would be 40 and 40. But really, the way I sharpen these most of the time is I just come up here with my finger and I just sharpen it. This is a cheap tool, and I really don't waste too much time. This right here would work really well too. I do want you to be careful if you get into certain angles. You do not ever want to, you always want to be on the upper end of your sharpening wheel when you're using the tool like this. So if I came out and I was sharpening an angle that got me down into here, see how I'm close, the center of the wheel is down here. And when you get close to the center of the wheel like that, you're going to get binding. You can get binding, and you can get the old stone wheels can blow up on you. And here you can destroy the tip of your gouge. It could be what's causing some people to have their tools burning. I've seen people post that their tools are burning and they're getting hot, and people say, oh, you need to dip them in water. No, you don't need to dip these tools in water. You don't need to dip them in oil. A light touch, and I've never had a tool get too hot. So I think whenever people have chunks of metal and things that are happening, I think that they're getting into a binding situation where they're lightly touching. Like I could lightly touch this, but even if I lightly touch this, the grinding wheel, see that is it's binding. It's trying to shove this down, and when it's trying to shove that down, you can see how bad things can happen. Whereas if you're up higher on this, now it isn't binding, okay? So keep that in mind. You do not want any binding. And you can always turn this without the grinder on, just to make sure that things aren't going to go bad. But always stay on the upper 2/3 of the wheel. Don't ever get to where you're down here towards the center, okay? That's with that tool, with any tool that you're sharpening, okay? So I normally don't use that for tool handles to do that. We still got the diamond one. The diamond one should be very similar. It looks like it's basically the same angle as this one, so I could possibly change both of these to a 40-40 grind. But like I said, I often just come in here and just touch them. Kind of come in here and use my fingers on this platform. It's pretty much what I do, and I eyeball it. Sharpen it like that, sharpen it like that, or you can move the platform. These are not particular tools, and it doesn't matter if your angle's off a little bit. So there's your parting tools, how I sharpen the parting tools.